All right. Johnathan McCormick from Red Beard Outdoors. He's hard to miss because he named his company after his beard. Welcome to the podcast, dude. A little intimidated. You've been doing this a lot longer than me.
I don't know about all that, but you make some awesome gear. So I appreciate you having me on and being able to chat with you on your podcast. It's always weird to be on this side of the microphone.
Yeah. It's, I find that with guys like you though, I almost just, with most of my guests, I just sit back and let them talk. And you guys make it easy, right? Because you hold a conversation. Sometimes you get someone on here and you're just like it's like pulling teeth through this screen. And you're like, come on.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I was watching something the other day. I think it was the Lancaster Classic. And I was going back and watching some of the clips, and the kid that goes on to win the bow hunter division, he was like 16, and it was cringy because like they'd ask him a question and he'd give him a 1-word answer. And they were trying to get the conversation out of him up on the stage. And he was just like, yep, nope, yep. And I'm like, oh man. Yeah. So I get it. It's hard sometimes to hold a conversation with people like that.
Yeah. Do you watch motocross at all? Supercross?
I don't. I should, but I don't.
Oh man. Yeah. So it's very similar to that, right? Like a lot of guys will like, the bike ran good today. I want to thank Motul and Renthal Bars and blah, blah, blah. But then you got Brian Deegan's kid, and he's out there now, and he's just dominating. And Deegan is you even know who Brian Deegan is from Metal Militia.
Yeah, I've heard the name.
Yeah. So he's winning races at 18 years old, and he's out there, welcome to the danger zone, baby. Woo! That's what you need. You need that flair, right? He's out there like this kid crashed in front of him. He got really hurt. I don't think he knew it, but he's like, oh yeah, he couldn't handle the pressure of me. So you're getting that, like those good bites.
Yeah. Right.
And I can relate to that because I want my company to be that way. Like I like having flair, like having style. Like we're a SoCal company in the hunting industry. We're surfers, motocross guys, skaters, and now we're making hunting gear. So I like that. I like that style of Deegan. And I like bringing a little change, a little difference, something a little different to the industry than the status quo.
No, I agree. There's definitely, it's cool to see. And we talked about this off air when we first chatted on the phone. Just, you've been doing this for years, right? And I love to highlight things like that when I bring people on my podcast. The fact that I don't know how many people realize, man, that you've been doing this for 4 or 5 years before things started to blow up. And like, people saw me post just the one story that I posted about the tripod, and they were asking me about it. And I was like, I haven't really used it yet, but what I can tell you is it's stupid light and really sturdy. And so whatever you're doing, man, back there, your creativeness, you did an awesome job with it.
You know what I've been seeing now a little bit too is like people hammering us because everyone's using it. So everyone's using it now. And that's not because I'm giving them to everybody, but just everyone's using our tripod. So it's like some people are hammering us like, oh, it's just influencers, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, bro, like, no, it's not it. So people use it and then they're like, oh, wow. Like I had a guy post the other day. It was pretty cool. We're in Shields now. And all the Shields stores. Cool.
Big deal.
He's like, man, I thought this thing was a gimmick, and holy smokes, this is the real deal tripod. And it's, yeah, man, because it's actually a hunting tripod, not just some freaking tripod, made by photographers to chase Bambi around. This is made to find animals and kill them, dude. And when you build things with a hunting focus, they're better, right? Like, like a photography panhead. That's why our panhead is the best selling panhead in the country. I don't even know how many we've sold now. 10,000 probably, something up there like that. A photography panhead is not made for sitting behind and moving back and forth all day long. It's made for setting it and then taking a picture. My panhead is made to sit behind and glass behind it all day long. Typical tripods are just made just to hold something up and stand there. A hunting tripod is dynamic and being used and being moved and being adjusted. And that's what we did with the Tricer systems by putting them in reverse legs. Everything's at the top. You can make your adjustments. Your panhead's right there. You can go and spend 12 hours behind our tripod and enjoy it. You get comfortable. I think that's the most important part to killing something or finding something so you can kill it, is being comfortable.
Oh yeah. I couldn't agree more. It's definitely different because I've had other tripods and I'm not nearly as experienced as some of the people out there. My bow shop is Wild Arrow and they work with Brad Hunt, Brian Call. And so that's where they first were introduced to your tripods because they were saying the same thing. Oh, Tricer's blowing up and their marketing's really good, et cetera, blah, blah, blah. And then one of the guys he's a glassing snob, he got behind Brad Hunt's BC and he was like, all right, I'm sold. And he's one of the guys too, I was telling you off air that there's a lot of people out there saying that they prefer a fluid head over a pan head. And he grabbed one of your pan heads as well, because he was like, I'm a fluid head guy through and through. And then but this pan head, it's 6 ounces or less. And it moves so smooth, and then it locks into place, and there's no wiggle, and whatever you're doing, it's awesome.
Yeah, that's funny. Everyone's a fluid head guy, which I have a fluid head coming out. It'll be out here next month, and it's the best fluid head ever made. It's 12 ounces, and you can put a freaking brick on it, and it will not move on you. But our pan head isn't, by all intents and purposes, just as smooth as a fluid head. Again, the problem isn't that they like fluid heads. The problem is that the best thing available up until then was like a VA5 fluid head, right? So I like fluid heads, but when you create something for hunting that works, you're solid. So that's what we got. So yeah, man, it's a sweet pan head, and it does what it does. You have 4.3 ounces. My buddy Daryl, his handle is Lung Popper. I don't know if everybody knows this story or not. He's my hunting partner, and just a really all around great dude. And we were on a hunting forum here in San Diego, and he goes, I bet you couldn't make a 6 ounce pan head. And I was like, hold my beer. And then I created the pan head, and I named it the LP. Everyone thinks it means little pan, but it actually means Lung Popper. It's a kind of little shot at him. I like to have fun with some of the names.
You went into your metal shop and just took some of the mustache beard hair and you just sprinkled it. That's what popped out, right? That's what
Yeah, dude. I've been joking around with my partners that the bigger Tricer gets, we're going to have to get an insurance claim on my mustache, like a life insurance policy for the mustache itself, because it's starting to become the brand, dude. I don't want to. Yeah, I haven't shaved since 2017 or 18. I think you saw a picture of me you were saying earlier. And the mustache hasn't gone. I haven't seen my upper lip, dude, and he's going on almost 8 years. So that's a long time.
That's dedication right there.
Yeah, for sure. We have some cool mustache shirts coming out too later on this year. It'll probably offend people, but I don't care. You got some really bitchin' shirts coming out. They got
and that's the thing too, is your base. And like you were saying with the tripods and the heads and things like that, like there's a lot of good ones out there, but they're not specifically for hunting. So they do what they do well, but they're not as dynamic like what you were saying your tripods are. And so your base with that, but also the things like the making fun of Trump and Biden, that your base. And you don't really care about pleasing the masses. You care about getting it out to your base. And again, the tripods are very dedicated to hunting specific, which I'm sure they could be used in photography, but it's very hunting specific based tripods. And again, you're great with what you've created because your base. And I think that's a big takeaway for a lot of people.
Yeah. And don't get me wrong, like my marketing team, like I caused them to sweat. Like running those ads last weekend, Facebook shut it down within the first. It's pretty gnarly, dude. Like normally it's $5 a click or $5 to get a sale. We were getting charged in the first 2 hours like $27. That's how much Meta hammered us for, dude. Those freaking liberals over there, Meta.
Oh man!
And then within 2 hours they shut my ads down. But I could told them like, don't worry about it. We got martyred because of it, and everyone started sharing it. So that President's Day sale was our second largest sale in the history of Tricer, direct to consumer.
That's awesome.
We've had some bigger sales going out to retail and stuff, but direct to consumer is our second largest sale. So I know my base, dude. Everyone wanted to go use code Trump and nobody wanted to use code Biden. Weird.
I was going to say, did anyone use code Biden just to see what happened?
I mean, full disclosure, I couldn't get it to work. Like I had them on it, my team on it, like trying to make it work to add 20% to it. So it didn't work at all. So yeah, we'll just say we forgot.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, we forgot. We forgot
with some free chocolate chip ice cream or something.
Yeah, it came with some ice cream and some bike pegs or a bike helmet, just in case you fall down. But yeah, I know my base, dude, and I like comedy, right? Like by no means am I a comedian, but I like making fun of Trump, and I like making fun of conservatives, and I like making fun of liberals. I think you have to, like, this weird point we are with comedy in the world is it has to align with my values or it's offensive. And that's why I love Dave Chappelle. He doesn't care, right? And so it's like how I want to model my business. And really, like, people go, what are you going to do? And it's like, what am I going to do? Lose all the liberals who don't hunt anyways? Like, and there might have been a few guys, like, I get it. There's guys who are Democrats who hunt. And dude, I have Democrat friends who I hunt with all the time. Like, they're good friends of mine. They have a sense of humor. Right? Like, I'm not out here like, I literally, if I saw you, I'm going to punch you in the face because you're an a-hole. Not at all. Like, I'm a Christian. I'm a foster parent. I run a foster ministry. Like, all in all, pretty good dude. But I also like to have fun. And you should be able to have fun both ways. take it both ways and not get so offended. But the world is just so thin skinned. You get so offended, man. It's this whole, everyone gets a trophy generation. It's just, I mean, I know people hear it, but geez, it's hard. It's weird, man. It's weird. People just don't want to have fun. They just want to get angry and upset and get, what's that word? Triggered. I want to get triggered.
Yeah.
Like I want you to, my buddy works for one of these like big liberal companies, right? And once you do it, that's the issue too, is like once you start doing it, you're screwed. Right. So like we have an influencer who works for us, and actually I'll say who it was. So Danielle Halverson does some work with us, Danielle, and she's awesome, dude. She's a freaking killer. Like I wanted to have a woman on staff with Tricer because I feel like it's an important demographic I want to hit. But I didn't want to I refused, like, as a Christian, to have some woman who's out there just like shaking her freaking ass and wearing a thong. That's not what I want. I don't want that. If I have to get some of my tripods, it's not what I want. I want somebody who's actually killing. And Danielle is out there actually killing like lions. And she's in Africa.
I was going to say, she's across the ocean right now, isn't she? Or she?
Yeah, she's over in Africa. I'm going to try and go with her next year, I think. So she's running hounds, she's killing coyotes, and she's shooting deer, shooting elk, and she's hunting hardcore. That's what I want to have representing Tricer, is a woman like that. But we joke around, like when we hired her, like we did the whole, like, we actually had our wives look at their account, like, hey, what do you think? We're Christians, but make sure she's not like doing anything flashy. And they're like, no, she's good. She's clean. And so we were joking with her about, you can't go liberal. So in her contract, she wrote back to us, promises never to change pronouns or go woke, in her contract that we signed with her.
That's awesome.
So that's fun though, dude. If I'm going to run a business, dude, I run a union sheet metal shop, and it is a beating. I mean, you're just dealing with the union, and it's just them in your business. Like, you have no privacy. Everything's out there. It's just, this is fun. Like, Tricer is a blast for me. I have having so much fun creating stuff, and that's why I'm creating so much stuff, because I'm just enjoying myself, right? Have this creative workspace where I can go and even do stuff like this, get on a podcast with you and talk to you and get those juices flowing, right? And then get out in the field and go hunting, create stuff. Like, I don't want to like try and conform this thing to some like liberal ideal or this like PC. I just, not my thing, man. No.
Yeah. No. Not at all. And that there's enough of that out there. I think things are starting to swing back towards center a little bit more, just the way I'm seeing things. And maybe that's just me and the people I hang out with, but I would agree that you should be able to joke about things and take a joke. And I know this is take 2. So people that didn't get to hear take 1, we had about 10 minutes of picking on gingers and Mormons and all that good stuff. But I grew up that way. In North Carolina, I was one of 2 Mormons in my high school of 2,000 plus kids. And I was the fat kid until about 9th grade, and I was a ginger. So you throw all that in with South Park, like I got all the jokes, right? I asked people people ask me if I shaved my horns every morning. People ask me if Mormons ran hell, if I read my Bible out of a top hat, all of these things, if I stole souls, if I had a soul, like all of those things. And at first, as a kid, you're insecure. Generally in junior high, you're going through those awkward phases, but I just leaned into it. And once I leaned into it, man, it's so much more fun when you can joke about yourself and also throw jokes back at other people. And it makes for a better life in general. You get to smile more. You're not so uptight and triggered and all this other stuff. You get to enjoy life a little bit more.
Yeah, learning to brush it off for sure. Did you see on SNL this weekend, they had Shane Gillis back on?
Mm-mm. But I've loved his stuff. His stuff is hilarious.
Dude, he got kicked off after one episode because they put him on the show, and then some stuff came out of him like talking about gay people and stuff.
Yeah.
So they kicked him off the show. They canceled him. And it like made him a martyr. It's how he got so big. So then he just went back this weekend, like 4 years later, and dude, just hammered, like made gay jokes, made black jokes, made all this stuff. And like, it was awesome, dude. It was just funny because it was like, we're going to point now where comedy is. I think a lot of it has to be Chappelle just out there. No, you guys got to bring this back, right? Yeah. Like, we're so tired of every joke just being about how much Trump sucks, and that's it. So you're starting to see like comedy come back and have fun with things, right? Exactly. I'm sick today. I'm drinking this Prime. Have you ever had these things?
Mm-mm. My kids try and talk to me about it all the time. I'm like,
yeah, so it's my kids. And he put it in my fridge because I have an office. He put it in my fridge so my 4-year-old wouldn't find it. It looks a little gay. It's pink. But, yeah, I found it because I came home today and took a nap for this thing. I was just feeling a little crappy.
Electrolyte, because I know they have an energy drink, but
it tastes like sugar.
Yeah,
it's like sugar. It tastes like sugar. I don't know. It's I don't know. Jake Paul's, I think, or one of those guys. So one of their drinks. I don't know. I don't follow Jake Paul or anything like that. I've never bought one of these in my life until yesterday. We went to the gun shop, and my kid wanted to go to 7-Eleven, so I got him some Primes. I got myself one of those new monsters and threw this one in my fridge, and I stole it. So he's going to come back here. I'm going to be like, "Oh, your 4-year-old brother took it. I'm sorry."
Oh, that's awesome. That's funny. No, but I saw you walked out of the gun shop with 2 guns when you were just looking for ammo.
Yeah. Kind of, dude. California sucks balls. So there's a 10-day wait period when you buy a gun in California. So we signed up for 2 of them, and now they passed some new law where you have to wait 30 days to buy another gun, which really sucks because I'm getting a 30-06 from Browning that I'm going to run this year. And you should be posting a lot about it because it's like my thing that I'm talking about every episode. So people are getting tired of me talking about it, but I'm going like leather sling, wood 30-06, just a Leopold on top, shooting reloaded brass, H4 350, nothing crazy, not like a Super Performance or RL26. And I'm going to kill every animal this year I kill with it. I'm going to shoot coyotes with it, shoot deer with it, hopefully go shoot an antelope up with Dylan Hyde up in Wyoming with it. Shoot deer in Mexico with it. Like it's the round I'm going to use for everything. But so I went down there to buy some bullets for that. I'm trying to get a load developed, and I'm working on I'm debating between a copper bullet and a lead bullet. And then I bought a 20 gauge semi-auto probably 10 years ago for my older boys. And that thing, it's an Escort, and it is a piece of crap. And it is jammed since day one. It's the worst. It always jams. So I brought it down. I was going to have them fix it. And then they're like, "Oh, it's $75 an hour." And I'm like doing the math. And I'm like, "What do you give me for it?" "We'll give you $175. I was like, "Well, give me that Mossberg 500. So I spot on a Mossberg 500 because those things, you can literally piss down the barrel and they'll shoot. My first shotgun was a Mossberg 500. And up until I wasn't able to buy nice guns until probably 4 or 5 years ago, I just shot the crappiest, cheapest rifle I can get and cheapest shotgun I get. And I still have that thing in the safe, and I guarantee I can pick it up, and I probably haven't cleaned it in 10 years and go shoot that thing a couple hundred rounds would have not an issue. So figured I'd get a Mossberg 500, and we're going to go out and hammer some turkeys here, hopefully, a few weeks.
There you go. I like it. So with that Browning that you're doing, the wood stock and everything, you need to do like a wrap for your tripods. That's like a wood. It looks like wood grain.
Yeah, a wood leg tripod. That'd be funny.
You just go out and get some sticks, and plug them into where the legs actually go on your tripod, and be like, "Hey, this is the new Tricer M, the mustache."
Yeah, just whittle it out of go get some wooden dowels down at Home Depot and some hinges and just screw it all together. That's literally how this stuff started, dude. Like my first tripod that I came up with out in like 2017. I literally just went in my shop and I took a Primos tripod, cut it all apart, and started welding and put it all together, and that works. And then it sat for almost 2 years. And then I finally had the nerve to go out and try and do it. And that tripod pretty much failed miserably.
Why did you choose to flip the heads? That's interesting.
The legs upside down?
The fat parts on the bottom, which
it's just more stable. It's way more stable. And then also ergonomics, like glassing is all about comfort for me. And so everything, when all your knobs are at the top, it's so much easier to move everything around, right?
Yeah.
That way you can have bigger legs and have a smaller head as well. So when you have the legs going the other way, the head's bigger. So you have a heavier tripod. So everyone's like, "Oh, it's so light, but so stable." Yeah. If I flip this around and the head was going with the 1.1/8 leg on the top, the head would be twice as big, which means it'd be twice as heavy, right? So by doing this, you can keep that small head and then your legs out there. So it's bitching. I like it. It's obviously working, man.
Yeah. And just setting it up in the living room and messing around with it and shaking it and getting my kids to mess around with it. The same height, even fully extended compared to other ones that I've had. It blew my mind. I was like, there's no way it could be this stable and this light. Cause in your mind, you're thinking it's like the heavier it is, the more stable, but it works. I'll have to take it out on the mountain, but in the living room and shaking it around, it's a lot more stable than some of the other ones.
Good products sell themselves. So like anyone out there saying, "Oh, influencers, all this about Tricer," dude, these things sell themselves.
Yeah. Go mess around with one.
Go mess around with one, use it. They're crushing, man. They really are. They're selling like that for a reason, man. Cause they're just really good. And like you said, like down the bow shop, that's what's really getting us more sales is everyone's going into camp and then they're like, I want that. Like you're going to find more, like my goal is for you to find more animals with my stuff and you will. Like you will find more animals with my tribe than you will with another one because you're going to stay behind it longer. It's going to be easier to glass. It's going to be smoother. It's going to stop. Like it's just a better glassing experience. That's what I want you to enjoy using my stuff. So
they were flying off the shelves at Hunt Expo.
Oh, dude,
the gear full guys, dude.
We moved Tricers. The Tricers is now a Wyoming company. I don't think anyone knows that. It's official now. We still live in San Diego, but we just wanted to get out of California afterward, like making all this gun stuff we're making. We wanted to come and sue us or something. But we moved all fulfillment to Salt Lake. So we had to re-up them like 5 times at the show. They just kept selling out of everything.
Yeah.
So they had just a banner weekend for us. We're going to be there next year. I'm going to make a sick booth and I'm going to cause a bunch of waves. I'm going to have fun. Like we're going to come in there and we're going to raise some hell, man. It's going to be fun. I have some really good ideas for the Hunt Expo. I don't know if it's like PC, but I don't care, dude. We're balls to the wall, just going for it and everything we do. And, take no prisoners at Tricer. So we have some fun. So we have some fun ideas for the Hunt Expo to really get some free marketing.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I love it.
I don't want to announce it because I just want to steal it. Or worse off, they'll call me and say, I heard you're going to do this. You can't. I tend to like a lot of things. Yeah.
Forgiveness and permission.
That's one of my life mottos. It's better to ask forgiveness and permission. So I don't want to say anything. I'd rather do it and get it going. And then I don't know if you notice what I mean. I like to talk. Most of the time I talk my way out of anything. Like we start doing something like, oh, come on, we're doing this here. We're giving this, we're helping, blah, 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 blah. And then people they get so tired of me. They just, whatever. Okay, do it. You're all right. Go for it. Unless you're meta. If you're meta, you just say, screw you. I'm shutting your ads down. Tell me about Redbeard Outdoors, dude. When did you start that? Where are you guys out of?
Yeah. So I'm in Utah and it's just a one-man show. It's just me. So basically I got started because I was working a desk job and I had one random day off during the week because I didn't work Sundays. So the Saturdays that I'd work, I'd have a day off during the week. And during those days, I'd go out, and at the time, my kids were toddlers or babies. And so we'd go out for a hike. I'd go take them. I'd throw them in the backpack, or if they could walk, they'd walk a little ways, and then I'd carry them. And I just got them outside. And I'd come back to the job, and everyone's, oh, what'd you do on your day off? Oh, I binged Netflix and blah, blah, blah. I got some errands done. And I'm like showing them these pictures of these hikes that I did with these little babies. And they're like, well, how did you do that? I'm like, guys, we live in Utah. You can drive 10 minutes and there's multiple trailheads. Most of them are kid friendly for the first mile at least. And then just carry your kids. It's a good workout. Get outside. Sometimes I would check my older kids. I'd check them out of school. I'd take them for a hike if I knew they were having a rough day or whatever. And then just started taking pictures and then sharing those adventures because I realized like there's so much stuff that's been brought inside that people don't realize that you can take your kids outdoors and go have fun with them and get off your phones and go and enjoy things. So that's really where it all started, was just an Instagram page. And then I realized I didn't want to get into the full YouTube editing stuff because kudos to those guys that do YouTube videos and long form content. Cause man, that takes some work, not only work, but it takes good quality gear, good money, lots of time, like all of this stuff to be able to get into that. And I was just like, I just like having good conversations with people. So I'm just going to start a podcast and bought a microphone, a little cheap microphone off of Amazon, USB plug in right to the laptop, and just started recording podcasts and then started inviting guests on, and then just fed into, I'm a gear nerd. So sharing my opinions of gear. Sometimes I do first takes of it. Sometimes I do after I've used it, the full review on how I use it, and hopefully provide value to people. But that's really where it started back in the end of 2019, 2020 was when it started.
Wow. And you've got a pretty good following now, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Things are going really well.
Like 25,000, 30,000 people or something like that following you?
Yeah. Yeah. So Instagram, I got 21,000. Then we got YouTube, a little over 2K. I just started putting it on YouTube just over a year ago. So that's a whole nother beast to figure out, but it's fun. I love having conversations with people. And when people reach out to me, whether it be via email, Instagram, whatever, I love just talking to people. And again, not taking offense to any corrections or anything they provide. Cause I'm like, I never put myself out there as the expert. I'm just a guy that enjoys getting outdoors, going hunting, shooting a bow, getting back into rifles now, trying to figure out how to put that out there without getting, hammered.
Yeah.
But that's just what I do. And I just enjoy it. It's fun.
Yeah, the producing stuff, like I don't produce any of my stuff. Like I have a hard time. Like I love this. Like even when I get off with you, like trying to write a 2 sentence, I don't do like a long description of what we talked about. I put something together because I feel like people just don't read it anyways. Like I'm just like, Johnathan from Redbird Outdoors, gear reviews, likes to kill stuff. Yeah. Like I have a hard time even writing that out, let alone producing one of these episodes. So I use a lot of AI, and then I have a producer as well. So I have a producer who goes and puts all these on YouTube and publishes them, right? And then everything's recorded obviously through Zencaster and gets out there. But yeah, I could not imagine, like I've tried to film, like, except for my hunts and stuff. And I'm just like, dude, this is a beating. Like, even like trying to film, like it's hard. Like I am not an influencer by any means. But they want content from me. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, this is stupid. But I guess that's my stick, right? Is just being me and saying it's stupid. So yeah, I don't do the cut, like the long videos. Like I want to film a hunt this year. I've had a few guys reach out to me about filming for us. I don't know what tag I'm going to draw yet, but I'm probably going to film a hunt because me trying to film it myself is never going to happen. Like it is like, I want to hunt and find things. I want to enjoy myself. I don't want to be working. So I'm hoping to get someone out there to film for me, because then you can get a kind of a taste of me and taste of what I'm about and just have fun. But no, I'm not going to cut it. I don't have the creative eye for it. I can barely take a freaking picture. You know what I mean? I'm good for a grip and grin, but that grip and grin is nowhere near as good as a grip and grin that like Brian called to ours. Brady Miller, they take a grip and grin. It's I was there and the animal's coming out of this picture. You know what I mean? I'm just like, okay, get over there. All I can think about is I have to process this animal, get it off this freaking mountain. So just hold the head up. Cool. Turn it sideways. Picture done. Let's go.
No, I definitely understand that. It is really a whole, like, people don't understand when they go on YouTube, click on a video that's 20 minutes long or 30 minutes put together by, again, Call or Pedro. If anyone knows him out there, he's a guy over in Spain. He travels the world, goes hunting. He's a big Kuyu PSE guy, but he puts on some amazing productions. And the hours of film that go into making just like a 20-minute video, it blows my mind. Like talking with some of these guys, how they put these things together. I'm like, I don't have the patience for it. Plus you got to put the music in the right spots. You got to make it flow. You can't just cut from scene to scene. There's so many things that go into it. And then on top of that, if you're self-filming, that's a whole nother, I don't even care about getting into that ball game. But I definitely think the route to go is to have someone else film you and put it together. I think that's a safer bet, because then you can focus on what you want to do. You're not carrying the camera, getting it set up right, hoping you get the shot, hoping you don't have to worry about all that. You just have someone else focused on that, and you're able to focus on what you do.
Dude, I had Brad Hunt on from Gritty, and he said that it takes Brian like a minimum 40 hours to edit one of those videos. Mm-hmm. So it's a full-time job. I mean, he said that they used to be a lot longer, but he's gotten a lot better at doing it. But to cut a 20-minute film, he spends 40 hours going through all that stuff to get that content. Yeah. And then like for me too, like I suck at the B-roll stuff. Like I'm good at get the kill shot. Bam. Mm-hmm. That's it. Like I'm like I just went to Sonora and I filmed all my kill shots. We were to blind. It was like a 90s, like Primo's hunt film, right? And then here he comes. Bam, dead. And then you can show like 6 different angles of this thing dying, slow motion, bullet coming in, dumping him, you know. That's my kind of hunt film because I just suck. I told Brad, when I watch one of Brad's films, I feel like I'm there. Same thing with the guys at Limitless. I love Limitless Outdoors. Mm-hmm. And when I watch a Limitless Outdoors film, I feel like I'm there. I feel like I'm part of this adventure. I can feel those guys, I feel make it hard on themselves sometimes. They just do crazy stuff. I can feel their misery. It's awesome. Like when I see them out there and they're wet and cold, I'm like, feel that. With me, I forgot to pull the camera out and do it. Yeah.
No, I hear you on that, man. You want to be able to focus and be in the moment. It's hard to do both, to share with other people and also be there in the moment. So again, people that self-film, I have a whole nother level of respect for, but it's not easy when you get a good production together. And I wish people understood that more rather than it's just another YouTube video. These are full-blown productions, and the time that it takes to put into these, it's borderline Hollywood film. Like editing and sitting in a dark room, making sure everything flows. It's crazy what they go through. So my hats are always off to the guys that put out really good productions like that.
Yeah, and they love doing what they do. So they really enjoy it. I have Luke Duesenberry coming on this week. I'm really excited to talk to him because he films like all Brady's hunts. So he's got a screw loose then, right? He's going on some of these wild things with Brady. So I'm excited to talk to him. But they just love to film. It's what they love to do. It's their passion. I love to create cool products. They love to film stuff and create art that way. I look at it like that. I look at what I do as art. I look at the things I make is art and designing things, and that's how they look at it, making films. So talk about the podcast. So you do like a sit down talk like this, but you also do like gear review stuff too, right?
Yep. Yeah. A lot of my stuff right now, I'm moving away from it, but at first it's talking head. Like I show the product and I don't really do a lot of B-roll, cutting away any of that stuff. It's just like the way I format it is more of, if I'm sitting in the room with you, this is how I talk with you, a friend, about the gear that I've used or what I'm excited about using, things like that. Just like I do with my buddy prior to having the podcast. And even now I'll take a handful of new gear that I've got, because he runs a CPA firm, the guy that got me into Western hunting. And so now I've become the gear guy of the group, and I'll go over once a month or whatever and be like, hey, this is the stuff that I've run. This is the stuff I'm excited to run. Do you want to mess around with any of these things? And we'll just sit down and have a conversation there in his barn that he's built out into a gym / sauna and all this other stuff. And that's how I format my gear reviews. It's a little bit different than a lot of people out there do it. And that's how I like to do it. It's a lot of fun. I enjoy doing that.
Now, do you backpack hunt as well?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So are you reviewing things outside of the hunting space then?
Yeah. So when you say outside of the hunting space,
I mean, one thing I appreciate about Go Hunt is that when they're able to go and sell hunting gear, and they also start to bring in like the REIs type stuff, like the jet boils and the pads and the sleeping bags. Like, so are you reviewing that stuff as well outside of? I guess it's within the hunting space. I guess I wouldn't say outside of it, but it's not like our traditional stuff. So are you looking at all that stuff as well?
Yes. So not just from hunting specific companies, but definitely tools of the trade when you go out and go hunting. And again, I'm no expert, so I'm learning. So as I like pop a pad or things like this, try new things, I'm not much of I don't cut my toothbrush down and save weight that way. So I appreciate the fact that I don't really have to focus on saving weight with your tripods because it just does it for me. But yeah, I'm usually the heavy packer when it comes to my group. I usually bring out more things than I need, things like that. That's my role. Everyone laughs at me until we get to camp, and then they all want to eat my food. But yeah, no, it's a mix of things. I would consider all tools of the trade for the outdoorsman.
Couple pieces of gear that I would never have considered. Now I'm almost 40 that I'm really liking. One of them is that Halenox chair, the fold up chair, Halenox chair. Having that chair for glassing is awesome. Sitting that thing, you can glass all day long. It's comfortable. Your back doesn't hurt. And then sitting around camp, it's awesome. Another one, I'm going to give you two, and I'll step back and let you go, is like one of those air pumps for your air mattress.
Oh, yeah.
Those little electric air pumps. And I thought they were a gimmick. And then a bunch of my friends who backpack were telling me they're great. And then I listened to Remy Warren, and he said he started carrying one. And then Remy Warren is like an idol of mine. I hope that someday I could talk to Remy Warren. I don't know. We'll get him switched from Vortex over to Tricer for his tripods. We'll see. But he talked about it. I listened to his podcast. He's just a wealth of information. I really love everything that guy does for years. And he talked about it, and I was like, I'm going to try it. And that was a great piece of gear. It just makes it's so nice when you are, especially when you're spike camping and you've got 10, 12 miles on you and you got to set your pad up. You just plug that thing in, blow it up. So have you tried either of those things?
Yeah, the little Flex Tail, I think is the name of the company.
Yeah, I don't know which one I got.
Yeah, that thing's awesome. I haven't tried out that chair. I'm usually a ground sitter kind of guy with just a pad, but I might have to look at that chair. You said it's the Halenox?
It's a Halenox. I think it's like a 350 pound rating. It's the Halenox. Like it's expensive. It's $150 or something like that, or maybe a little less. But it's one thing I've learned with gear is you probably could go buy an Amazon brand one for $50, but you're probably gonna be carrying it back all messed up and broken. Just buy the nice one, right? So I try to buy the nice stuff now. So yeah, the Halenox, and I ran it for all intents and purposes all season, I believe. I think I had it before season started. So I put a lot of hours in that chair, and it's nice. And like you said, everyone's jealous. When you're out there glassing and you're sitting on a rock, you're sitting on cactus, and you got that thing set up. Oh man, it's bitching.
So I might actually have something that just looking it up. So apparently Nemo makes one for $10 more that is a recliner.
Oh man, how is it heavier though?
I don't know how much heavier. I'll have to take a look, but it looks like it's the same kind of mesh seat.
Mm-hmm.
And it's $10 more, and it's got this little pulley system that you can lean back in it and then sit forward in it, and it sits up with you. It's called
Take a nap.
the Nemo Moonlight Elite Reclining Chair.
Gotta try it, dude.
Yeah,
You'd be up on the
now
hill.
you got me. Yeah, now you got me wanting to try these different chairs.
Dude, I ran a glassing pad forever, and it's just really nice. Dude, like I said, I'm almost 40, and I mean, I'm in the gym 4 or 5 days a week, and I'm just tired. I'm sore. Like I get out there, even though I'm in the gym and I'm in shape and I run, my body just isn't recovering like it used to. And sitting down for all glass, no joke, sunrise to sunset. And if I can get as comfortable as possible, that's why I like my tripods. And if I get a chair, whatever it's going to take to make that happen, to where I can keep looking for animals, I will keep looking and I'll find you and I'll kill you. Right? But I have to be comfortable to do it.
I like it. Now I'm not quite, I'm 31 going on 32 this year. Maybe the chair will be a 5-year investment for me when I'm aching.
You'll be able to go, you won't be as sore as me when you get there. And by no means am I like dying. It's just like my knees freaking hurt, my back hurts sometimes. The knees are the thing for me. Like I don't run on, I saw you do some supplements and stuff too, right? Like I won't run on concrete. It messes my knees up. And even like box jumps, my knees just start swelling up. So like when I'm hunting, like that's what gets me is my knees now. They just start swelling up and hurting. But I'm no puss, man. I don't stop. So if I'm in pain, I just hunt the whole time. And that's what my issue is. I'll go and hunt. I did 14 days in Arizona this year, and I just tore myself up. I felt like it took me like almost probably till Christmas to recover from that hunt. Because we went so hard on this elk hunt and just up and down wicked mountains trying to kill these bulls and didn't kill one. But it is what it is, man. It's like I said, I work out all year, right? So I'll probably put on 15 pounds by season by working out, putting on muscle, and then I'll lose it all. I work out all year just for hunting. It's the only reason I do it. I want to be able to go out there with my kids and keep up.
No, I love it. And yeah, you brought up supplements. So yeah, I work with First Form Outdoors more specifically, and it's all about things like what you're mentioning right there, where we're not a company that wants everyone to have to take supplements. Obviously that's what makes the company money, but behind all, or I guess even in front of all that, it's more about education. And the reason why we started the First Form Outdoors branch of First Form is to meet the outdoors man and woman where they are, rather than saying, hey, you need to come to the gym. Most outdoors men and women are in the gym anyway, because like you said, you train all year to go hunting, right? There's people that understand and are starting to link it more and more to weightlifting, and cardio equals better hunting experiences. Mm-hmm. But what we talk about even more so is, why is it important for you to have the proper nutrition even during hunt season so that you can recover quicker? And it's not always supplements. It's really not. But there are times where it's easier to have some form of supplementation versus whole foods. Whole foods is the better option, 100%, and we'll never say anything different, because that is the truth. But if you're not eating enough fish, you might need to take some omegas, for example, for the swelling. If you're not eating enough of your micronutrients or your greens, so we've got a greens formula for it. It's a lot easier. It's simpler. And the way we take care of the powders or the protein, greens, etc., things that are cooked in the facility, we do it all at a low temperature process. What that means is, for people that get maybe protein farts or have bubble guts after drinking protein or things like that, it's because the protein, most of the time, unless you're just allergic to whey or whatever it may be, but if it's just the protein powder, it could be because it's processed at a high temperature. The best analogy for that is, if you're going to have a chicken breast, you throw it on a grill for 400 degrees for 2 hours versus 8 hours in a crock pot. Which chicken breast are you going to want to eat? The one in the crock pot. It's more digestible. It's not going to be a brick. It's not going to be overcooked. The same thing with protein. If you overcook it just at a flash high temperature, it's going to be denatured. And so when it goes into your gut's not going to know what to deal with it. Versus a low temperature processed protein, it's more like that chicken breast that's been in the crock pot for 8 hours. It's going to fall apart. It's going to be more bioavailable, and you're not going to have the issues in your stomach. So that's just one example with the protein and the greens powder. But we have a wide variety of other things as well. You can see if you're into energy drinks, we've got energy drinks. We have protein sticks, a bunch of jerky, things like that for people to take up in the mountains. So you're not dealing with a melty protein bar, things like that for you to be able to, while you're glassing, have a good snack and make everyone else jealous around you.
Yeah, I need to look at the supplements more. I started taking collagen. I don't like the powders so much. I like doing pills, but it depends what they taste like. I started doing collagen pills every day. It seems like it's helping. It could be placebo. I don't know. But I do, because I do meal preps every day.
Okay.
I actually pay a company like $120 a week. I get 10 meals a week for breakfast and lunch because it's just cleaner for me to eat that way. But I do, when I get on the mountain, throw that out. And I wish I didn't, because then it's like I get on the mountain and I'm like, Snickers bar, gummy bears, Peaks refill. Like I just want, like when you're hiking like that, dude, there's nothing better than some Sour Patch Kids. Like maybe I'm wrong. Like, dude, I want some Oreos and some Little Debbie's when I'm hiking like that. You know, you're burning 5,000 calories a day and only taking in 2,000. Like, I don't know.
Yep.
So I just,
well, a couple of things, and I definitely understand that. I'm a fat kid at heart, and there's some things that I can't and can eat. But with that being said, like at the end of the day, something that we always recommend that you have up in the mountain, and it's easy with powder, you bring a shaker bottle or just a water bottle, whatever, is we've got that post-workout stack that we have is called Ignition and Formula One. And that's something that we bring up on the mountains. You could just put it in Ziploc baggies, whatever, however you want to pack it. And you get the carbohydrates that you need for recovery. You get your electrolytes. You get a full spectrum micronutrient, all of that in your Ignition part of the mixture. And then with Formula One, you get an isolate protein. So it's not going to be heavy on your stomach. And there's so many different flavors out there. You pick your poison. And then take that at the end of the night so you can recover better overnight. Because I agree, a Peaks refuel, something nice and warm. Peaks is a great one just because, or Peak refuel. I get Peaks and Peak mixed up all the time. But the Peak refuel, in my opinion, is one of the better ones as far as nutrition goes, but also it tastes better. It's got actual food in it. It's not like a mush.
So it's got a ton of calories. Dude, you get like, I was showing some the other day because in my office I have a kitchen and it's all the cabinets are full of just dehydrated meals from Peak and Mountain House. I just buy them throughout the year. So I've got, 50 of them in there. And it's 1,100 calories in some of those things, dude. It's gnarly, but you can just hammer one. It's just, I hate when they're like 2 servings, 600 calories. Dude, these bags are one serving.
These are not 2 servings. Yeah,
no
exactly.
one is trying to, this is a 1 serving bag. And I can think of a time where I didn't finish eating one of those things or wanted to grab my kids and finish theirs too. You know what I mean? Because I'm just freaking starving after coming out of some hellhole chasing elk.
Exactly. So that's what we don't recommend, that you swap out the food, like the whole food, for that post-workout stack, but we do recommend that's up there with you along with omegas. Those little pills are easy to pack away to take with you. We make little individual day packs of like your micronutrients that you can just throw in there as well in your backpack, and you just grab one out, rip it, throw it back with some water and your meal, and you're good to go. All of those things, I will tell you, they do make a big difference when you're hammering away, like you're saying, where you're 14 days out there in Arizona. You can't get enough nutrition in. You're eating other people's Peak refuels. It's something that will definitely help you recover. It's not going to be a magic pill, obviously, but you will feel a difference. You'll be less sore than maybe you normally are. You'll have less swelling, things along those lines, because we messed around with it this year. We went to Colorado for elk, and we had our group out there. And you could tell, like this year, I really made sure to keep that nutrition on track during the hunting season as much as I could. And I definitely noticed a difference in my energy level, my recovery as far as being sore the next day, being stiff. And we were going up some gnarly, steep stuff. And I can tell you that just in our group alone, we all felt that difference as we were making sure that we stayed on top of nutrition as much as possible. Obviously, you don't have a kitchen. You don't have your meal prep guys delivering your meals via helicopter. Maybe you should. You don't have all that.
Maybe next. It depends on how much I sell this year. Maybe we'll get a meal prep guy dropping it off some Uber.
There's a video for you right there.
Yeah, dude.
You're up there glassing with your tripod. You just have the helicopter come in behind you and drop a care package.
Well, I'm just such a killer that I'm typically only eating backstraps anyways. Like from after like day one, I'm just eating deer. It's never killing them right away.
Love it.
Not really. Typically it's day 7 and he's small. I just shot him because I felt bad that I spent so much time driving and trying to kill a big buck. But so, all right, dude. I like the nutrient stuff. Give me like a piece of gear. Give me like a new piece of gear or a piece of gear. You're just like this. Besides that awesome tripod you got. I know you got an awesome tripod the other day. Besides that, I know that's number one. Give me a piece of gear. What's a piece of gear everyone's like kind of flying under the radar? Everyone should get. What are you thinking?
Just looking over here at my stuff I've got to do a review on still. The one that I'm really excited about, honestly, is the Peaks sleeping bag. That's one that I'm really excited about. We got it, and my son almost immediately took it over. He got in it and started doing his I did a little video where he was like doing the worm dance because you could stick your arms out of it. I think I like when companies innovate things, but I also like when companies have used other products and they're like, I like this about this one. I like this one about this one. And they combine it all together and still throw their own twist to it. So I'm really excited about that. I don't know. Have you had a chance to look at it or get your hands on their new sleeping bag?
I've seen it. I run Enlightened Equipment quilts. I've seen their thing. I'm intrigued. It's like a hybrid. You can run like a quilt and you can also keep your arms out and sit in it and glass in it. So I saw Brady was really stoked on it. And then obviously the Gritty guys are stoked on it. I really have to try it. Like I'd have a hard time. Like I'm such a creature of habit when it comes to my system. Right. I've had the same Thermarest sleeping pad now for 8 years, never popped. And I just use it, right? Like I've used the same pad forever, same sleeping bag. I use a 10-degree Enlightened Equipment for pretty much every single hunt. If I don't use that, I'm jumping into a 50-degree for like real warm stuff. But I am intrigued by the Peaks. I saw it. I see people using it. And I'm like, I wonder if I would, if it's worth all the hype. So I got to check it out and see. So you like it.
And like you said, you can run it as a quilt. And I think that's interesting too. You can tuck the hoodie away and actually tuck it away to where it's out of the way and then unzip it, flip it over and use it as a quilt. That's one of the features that they have for it. But yeah, I like the idea of being able to be in your sleeping bag. I don't do a ton of cold weather stuff yet, but being able to be in your sleeping bag in your teepee or tent or whatever, being able to manage the fire if you've got a stove going or eat while you're still in your 15-degree sleeping bag, along with, of course, I know the technology's been out for a little while, but the water resistant down so it doesn't get soaking wet in case there is some moisture that gets through the tent or whatever. I do that feature as well, but it's really comfortable from laying in it in the living room. It's super comfortable.
Yeah, I got to check it out and talk to them. I want to try out their teepee too. One thing I can say with the quilts where I can see this would be a benefit is that sometimes it gets really windy and quilts suck in the wind, especially if you're in a teepee because you're going to get that draft. You get that draft under the quilt. So it would be nice to be like, okay, I'm going to have to go to a zipped up sleeping bag and then zip it to a sleeping bag.
But I got to check it out. The access of, and then it's a center zip too, which I like that.
Yeah, I saw that.
It's not a side zip.
Neat. And now what's the weight on that?
I don't have that memorized off the top of my head, but I know it's comparable to the other 20-degree bags that I've had. It's a lot lighter. So I ran the Climate 20 and 15. I've run those, and it's a lot lighter than that. And then the Thermarest 20-degree, I want to say it was just a smidge heavier than the Thermarest 20-degree bag because it's 5 degrees colder rated. So it should be a little heavier, but it packs down really tiny as well. I think it fits in like it's either a 10 or 13 liter dry bag.
Gotcha.
Yep.
Yeah, that's one thing with the quilt. Like my Enlightened Equipment, I custom made it, and I think it weighs like 18 ounces. It's a 10-degree. It's so light and so small. I don't run do you run your stuff in a dry bag, your backpack, or do you just shove it in there?
So it just depends on how long I'm going out for. If I'm looking to save some space, I'll take a dry bag, just a compression dry sack to be able to get it down as small as possible. Other times I don't. So I just barely got the Peak sleeping bag, so I haven't really run that with my other gear yet, but I'll probably put it in a dry bag.
So I'm a big fan of Mark at EXO and those guys, and I have a couple of their packs, and they always say, I used to run the bags too, but they always say it's like trying to put bowling balls or rocks in, and there's space in between those balls. So they don't run any sort of bag system. So I've gone away from bags too as well. Even with my tent, like I'll take my tent out and I'll shove my tent down the side of my pack, and then I'll shove like I'll unfold my sleeping pad and fold that and put in the ball in my bag, and then I put the sleeping bag on top of that and just shove it in there, and then everything presses because it's down. Then they say you get more space taken up in the pack.
That makes sense.
I'm looking to make a switch this year on the pack. I'm not sure if I love the EXO. I'll probably just stick with EXO. But I want to go to a bigger, I'm running a 4200. I have their 3200 and their 4400. I want to get a bigger, like a 65 from someone. 6,000. I don't think it'd be hard for me to switch from EXO because I just love what they're doing. And Mark's an awesome dude. And plus you just know the system. Like I said, I'm a creature of habit. But there's a few pack companies out there I'd like to look at before I make the switch and try and I can just get a bigger one because I'll use the one I have right now. I'm not going to stop using it. But for some of my hunts when I'm backpack hunting, it gets tight, especially if you're bringing a camera. So I started carrying a camera around, or if you're bringing like the whole pack. So I need that extra space, an extra couple thousand liters for the BTX. So I don't know, man. If anybody listens to this and they have a pack recommendation that I'm just going to love and should make a switch to, let me know. But as of right now, I'm probably just going to go back to EXO because I have had no issues whatsoever with their packs. Yeah. And I have packed out a lot of animals and beat the snot out of them.
I've heard really good things about their packs. I've never run an EXO. I've run a couple different ones, but my favorite is the Initial Ascent, which I'm sure you've heard about them. They have, it's either 52 or 5,600 they just launched this year. And that might be more up your alley, but then the next step up from that is like an 8,000 cubic inch bag. So that might be a little too big.
Yeah, I was thinking about looking at the Initial Ascents as well. They look a little similar to the EXOs. So that's why I was like, oh, those are intriguing. I like I'm pretty abusive, like on everything. Yeah. Like I'm doing this Woodstock rifle and I'm planning on beating the crap out of it. Like I don't take care of, like I like to beat things up. So like that might throw my pack down, just throw it down, you know? So I can't do these like really thin packs, right? I want something that's thick and heavy duty.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I would definitely take a look at those. And if it makes sense as far as the space goes, I know they have a pocket. Trying to think, it's on their 52 or 50, whatever their 5,000 plus bag is. I think they said it will fit a 115 Swaro. That might be something you might look at. But yeah, they've got a spotter pocket on one of the sides that'll fit a 115 Swaro on it. So
nice. I wonder if it's like BTX. It's a 95 millimeter Swaro with a BTX on it. So
it should definitely fit.
So you got to see. Maybe it will. That'd be cool. Yeah. So yeah, I'm looking for something like that to make that change. And if that would fit on the outside, right now I'm putting it inside of my pack. It won't fit on the side. And it's just that thing just takes up a lot of space.
It's a big spotter.
But once you run it and you see so many animals, you're just never go back. I tell people all the time, just don't look through it. Trust me, don't look through it. You'll understand why it's $6,500. You'll understand why people who have these find a lot of animals. It's just, they are awesome. Like that combined with that new JC tripod with that micro panning, it is my favorite thing to do in the world is sit behind the JC tripod and use a BTX and just like just sit there all day long. And that's how I'm always like a glass half full guy anyways. I'm just like, I am going to find you. Like midday, you're going to stand up. You're going to make a mistake. I'm going to find you and I'm going to kill you. What is it, Taken?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have a special set of skills.
I will find you and I will kill you. And that's like me every time I'm in the hills. I don't find them and harvest them. I find them and put a bullet through their lungs.
Exactly.
Dude, we're hitting that hour mark, bro. Hit me with the hunting story.
Oh man. Okay. So this guy back here is actually my first bull elk. I got him this last year. And this was on the hunt. So we went out to Colorado. My first out-of-state elk hunt. We went over the counter. A lot of the guys were coming from the east. This was the First Form Outdoors group that we got together. And we spent almost all of I want to say it was 10 days, hunting a couple different areas. And we'd seen some elk, but there's a lot of people in this one area. So anyway, we bounced around. I won't go through that whole story because that's coming out in a video. But basically, they had to leave. My drive was maybe 6 hours. So I was able to have an extra day and a half. They had 13 to 20 hour drives, depending on the people. So they had to leave, a day early. So I'm out there by myself, and I wake up one morning, and this area had been cleared out by people. They were all gone. And I get up and I'm glassing, of course, the furthest mountaintop on this area that I was in. And I was like, I saw one white butt, and I was like, okay, well, maybe it's a cow. I don't know. We're just sitting there glassing. And then I saw antlers pop up, and I said, all right, I'm going. So I don't care the line distance. I don't care what. This is a Hail Mary. I'm going up that mountain, and I'm going to find an elk, and I'm going to kill an elk. Make it up there by midday. They're all bedded down. And I pop my head over this little hill, and I just see just that silhouette, just the dark brown or black silhouette of a spike staring at me. It was like maybe 50 yards away. And I just froze, right? And my wind was good. Everything else was good, but he had seen movement, wasn't comfortable with it. So they stood up, they stretched a little bit, and I'm archery hunting here at this time. And so I had my trekking poles, and I had something else in my hand, my bugle tube, I think, in my hand. And so I went to go set those down as slowly as I could. They ended up walking away, and they weren't too spooked, but I just kind of let them go. And again, I'm no expert, guys, but I know enough that I was happy that they hadn't run off. And I kept my wind in my face, and I waited for the wind to shift to where it was blowing uphill so I could follow them downhill. And I was checking my map, and I saw there's this one little strip where there was like a cliff face that would have been to their back. The wind blowing uphill, I figured that would, if they were to bed back down on the same hillside, that's where they would be. So I waited about 2 hours. The wind shifted, started blowing straight uphill, and I just started creeping my way down to this little flat area. And you being a Christian, you'll understand this. And before I peeked my head over, I said a little prayer. Just, Lord, if it's your will, I would love to walk away with an elk, if tack filled. If not, great. I understand I screwed up my one opportunity that you provided me. If it's in the cards for me, let him be right here. Into that prayer, peeked over the edge, and the spike and the 4x5, which is legal in Colorado, was right there. So I was like, okay, they were bedded, faced away from me, and the one that I was going for, his head was behind a tree. So it was like the perfect scenario. And then I ranged it, and I'd set a limit to myself at the beginning of the hunt. I said, I'm comfortable shooting broadheads on a live animal at 70 yards and in. I'm cool with that distance. I'm comfortable with it. I know I can kill at that distance. That's my limit. If I'm further than that, I just have to let them walk. Unless it's a follow-up shot. And so it happened to be with the cut. It was like a 30-degree angle, and it was 70 yards on the dot. Like, you couldn't have written that any better. And I saw that number, and I was like, all right. And I just took my time because, again, he's sleeping, and he's quartered to me ever so slightly.
Bedded.
So just kind of went. Yeah, he's bedded. Okay. Quartered to me just ever so slightly, bedded, head behind a tree, and the spikes. I couldn't really see the spike, but I knew he was in the area. I didn't want to creep down any closer because it might spook him. And so I just get my arrow nocked, ranged again, dialed, went through my process, and it was weird. Like, I drew back, and it was almost like a shot at Total Archery Challenge, because I had this window. It wasn't narrow, but it was a window of trees into his vitals, and I aimed for the back rib just because I know with their anatomy and etc., it would be all scrunched up as like a freaking armor plate up front where I would normally want to shoot them. So I aimed a little bit further back and just drew back, went hinged down, and it was almost like the wind died. Like, all of my senses went numb except for like just horse blinders focused on that one shot, buried the pin in them. And the shot broke as clean as any shot I've ever experienced. And I just watched, it was like slow motion, watching that arrow just bury into him. And he popped up, and I could see the fletchings buried into the dirt behind him. So I knew it was a full pass through. He ran 40 yards, and then he hunched over and piled up. Like, that's awesome. It was just, and I couldn't have written it better for my first elk kill. And I've been out looking for elk, probably with a bow anyway, for the last, it's been 3 years with a tag in my pocket. And so it was awesome to be able to have that. And then I texted my buddy who happened to live just an hour and a half away. I was like, hey, how do you feel about packing out an elk tonight? And he was like, you didn't. And I was like, oh, I did. And this was all on the Garmin. And so he comes in and he saved the day with the 4-wheeler. We were able to get it down to about a mile and a half away from the elk. And we went up the next morning and quartered them out and packed them down. But man, that I could replay. I wish I could plug my head into a computer because I didn't have a camera, but I wish I could just replay that over and over again on a big screen, because that experience is awesome. And that's when the nerves hit me, was after the shot had gone through them. That's when I just turned into a ball. I was crying. I was texting my wife. I was shaking. It was awesome. I want to do it every year. So that's what I aim to do.
It's rad, dude. It's the things that keep you going back.
I know, right?
Yeah. That was a good podcast, dude. Where can we find you? Where do you want us to find you?
Anywhere I've got my podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube. It's just Redbeard Outdoors. And then, of course, Instagram, Redbeard Outdoors. And then if you want to come over and join us at the First Form Outdoors community on Facebook, just go over to First Form Outdoors Facebook group. I think there's 2 or 3 questions, and let them know Redbeard sent you over there, and we'll get you in. So that's where you can find me, just about any of those places.
Awesome, dude. Let's do it again. Let's jump on your podcast now.
Oh yeah, we're gonna have to have you on, and when you launch all your Woodstock tripods and everything else that you've got.
Yeah, when I launch the wood one, I'll send you commissions. It's in the works.
Awesome.
It's like all those guys. Tripods are for pussies. Just walk around in glass. So, all right. Thanks, guys. See you later.